Welcome to Deep Dive. I'm your host, Kevin Benedict, and I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm very excited to introduce our guest today. His name is Greg Fox. Greg, thanks for joining us.
Kevin, it's great to be with you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Now, Greg is the General Manager of Networking and Communications and Vice President of Alliance Partner Program at a really cool company called Workspan. And Workspan, I use this background because I think it's a really good idea. And the reason is I've been in technology for many decades. And in that course of that time, I've had a lot of roles around alliances and channels and business development and partnerships. And I've always needed a solution like Workspan. So without further ado, let me just jump in and introduce you to Greg. Greg, tell us where you're calling in from today.
Kevin, I'm calling in from our lovely headquarters in Foster City, California.
All right. I saw a view out your window. It's beautiful. You've got the bay there. You've got the lagoon. You have all the cool things right there.
It's great. It's right, central between, south of San Francisco, north of Palo Alto, kind of right in the heart of Silicon Valley, surrounded by some iconic companies.
Oh yeah, you've got Oracle on one side. You've got Success Factor over there. You've got all kind. Oh, who else? Oh, Coupa's over there.
Coupa.
Yeah.
Yep. We've got Cisco's not far away.
Yeah.
Apple.
Everything is
Google. Yeah,
if you walk around your
iconic
office building,
companies here, which we're surrounded by, which is pretty.
If you walk around your office, you could probably just point out all the big technology companies there on the horizon. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Greg,
it's yes.
Tell us about yourself.
So I grew up in a small town, Provo, Utah, which is a university town, the home of Brigham Young University. My dad was a college professor, so I went to Brigham Young and studied economics, started in computer science, but then studied economics, got a minor in Spanish and political science, and then went on and got an MBA at the Marriott School at Brigham Young.
All right. Go political science.
Absolutely. I love it. I love politics. Spent a little time in the U.S. Senate and then in the Utah State Legislature. So politics is dear to my heart. But I'm married, 4 amazing children, 3 daughters who are married, and a son and then a grandson who turns 2 next month. And so I'm an avid.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. I'm an avid golfer. I love most sports. I played baseball growing up. So I love to take pictures with my Huawei phone. It's turned me as an amateur photographer into a professional photographer.
And those phones are going to become more rare and more rare, so you better hold on to that.
Absolutely. It's a great phone. But I'm a big baseball fan, big Los Angeles Dodger fan. Love to travel to cool places and experience new cultures. So, yeah.
So in looking through LinkedIn and looking over your background, Greg, you've spent a lot of time in technology companies around Silicon Valley.
Yes.
And I bet you that's warped your mind a bit.
It warped my mind or given me, I guess, an appreciation for the innovation and sort of the disruptive nature of a lot of these Silicon Valley companies and what they can do. It's been great. I've been working in Silicon Valley since 2000, starting with Cisco and working under John Chambers there, the iconic CEO.
Yeah.
Who led Cisco for so many years. And then, had stints with Novell under Eric Schmidt, iconic, who became Google CEO and chairman. He was a Novell CEO at the time before that. And then, with companies like Citrix here in Santa Clara. Silicon Valley has been a great blessing and a great opportunity. And I personally felt like I've had a front row seat, a first class seat to innovation.
Oh, yeah.
and disruption and great brands making a mark, and seeing how technology is changing everyday lives for people everywhere.
So, Greg, you and I have spent our careers in and around Silicon Valley, and we think different after a while. You know, you put us over in Nebraska, or you put us in Ohio, or put us somewhere else, and you know our brains are just have been treated and shaped a different way now, haven't they?
Yeah, definitely. But as I travel the U.S. or to any location, Silicon Valley touches lives no matter where people live, and whether it's through education or the technologies that people are using, or the majors that people are majoring in the university.
Oh yeah,
the research that's being done around AR or artificial intelligence or autonomous driving or all kinds of disruptive technologies will start to are impacting people's lives in small towns, in small cities, in remote states, in the Midwest, East, wherever you are. It's pretty cool to see.
Got it. So the good idea we were talking about earlier, Workspan. So Workspan is a platform, as I understand it, that is really there to help optimize alliances and channel partners and business development opportunities and all these alliances, all of that. And as I said before, I've done a lot of that in my career, and I've always just used like spreadsheets and everything else. Talk to us about how you've seen over the course of your career, how you've seen alliances, partnerships, all that whole ecosystem evolve as a result of just, progress and digital transformation.
Sure. Companies are always trying to figure out how to partner better with other companies, right? Customers expect that companies work together to develop solutions that are useful and valuable, that address their business needs. And companies can't do it alone anymore. So they need an ecosystem of partners to be able to develop joint solutions, to align the sales teams, to be able to jointly sell to target customers, to jointly market together. And so at Workspan, what we've done is for the first time, we're really reimagining, how partnerships are done, from building joint solutions to jointly selling together, jointly marketing together, and then delivering customer value. So through a single, secure ecosystem cloud, companies can now do that with Workspan. And then, no longer do you need, spreadsheets or siloed processes where it's difficult, to coordinate and, partner with other companies. But through ecosystem cloud with Workspan, you're able to do that in a secure, digital platform.
Interesting. Interesting. So we'll jump into that even deeper here in just a moment.
Yes.
But before we move forward, tell us about your particular role there at Workspan. What do you get to do on a daily basis?
I was exposed to Workspan when I worked at Huawei. And at Huawei, I was leading global alliances for several years. And I was introduced to Workspan and the tool and the capabilities that they brought. I was very impressed by it. It wasn't the right timing for us at Huawei. And then when an opportunity came up to work at Workspan, I said, this was a company that I really feel is really solving the most challenging problems that companies face in the partnering model. So I was hired initially as kind of to oversee our Alliance ACES community. And so this is a community that we built focused on alliance professionals, where we provide a way for them to network with one another, to leverage best practices in alliance management, depending upon, at all phases across the alliance lifecycle. We interview them, we do podcasts, we issue challenges for them to address, whether it's, looking at how do you execute an alliance in a cross-cultural way. How do you form an alliance and execute an ecosystem in the era of IoT? And so we've created this community to help alliance professionals collaborate, innovate, and to address some of the best practices that they need to make them successful. As that started, it became apparent that my expertise and capability could be leveraged for other purposes within Workspan. So they asked me to become a domain expert, having a lot of relationships, built over the last 25 plus years in the technology industry, having relationships with a lot of alliance professionals with big brand,
Yes.
iconic brands. And so I became a domain expert for networking and communications, and for channels and IoT, et cetera. And then also we felt like there was a need that we needed to develop our own partner program so that we could leverage partners that could augment and complement Workspan offerings and help together take those to market to customers that are in need of the solutions that we provide. So that's kind of my scope. Started at Alliance Aces Community, expanding to domain expertise, and now also running our Alliance Partner Program for Workspan globally.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
In the Pixar movie Up, there's a dog, and I think his name was Kevin, something like that. Anyway,
yes,
the dog, every time somebody would say squirrel, it would, turn sideways and get distracted and run off.
Yes.
That is my experience with alliances, channels, and business development. Everybody gets together and they think it's such a good idea to partner, and then somebody says squirrel and everybody gets distracted, and then all their big visions and dreams of where the partnership could go kind of just fall away just because of lack of attention.
Yes.
Tell me, how does your solution at Workspan there solve the many and the myriad of challenges that are out there?
Yeah. Alliances fail. There's a high failure rate of alliances, like you say, and these are really hard to do. But there's interesting research that says, the C-suite expects that, partnerships and ecosystems are critical to their revenue, to their ability to address customer needs, et cetera. Basically, with these siloed processes, with things, data in spreadsheets and multiple sources, Workspan really helps operationalize the whole alliance process and procedure by enabling companies to leverage the Workspan platform, come together to ideate on solutions, to bring those solutions to market, to say, we need to address opportunities together through a sales engagement process. So it allows them to say, here's some opportunities that we need to work on together. Those can be easily imported or acted on in the Workspan ecosystem cloud, so that together with, say a Microsoft with their ISVs together, or SAP with their multiple set of ISVs together, can then build solutions, discover one another, engage on joint sales opportunities, and then take those to market to the customers that they're targeting. It really simplifies and operationalizes, processes that were so difficult previously, in a nice, secure, streamlined fashion.
Because so many times they were managed out of email and personal relationships.
Absolutely. You had siloed processes, broken engagements, lack of visibility to those siloed processes. No one knows about it, right?
Yeah.
And, without that visibility, you have to take spreadsheets, you have to use email, you've got to use Google Docs or, other means to communicate and collaborate together. With Workspan Ecosystem Cloud, you're able to centralize and manage that together in a single instance, all of those kinds of tasks that alliance managers need to do on a daily basis. They can know about who's who. I can invite a person from another company to join the network, or I can invite a company as a whole. I can give them the view to data that they need to see to act upon, and then together we can build, sell, jointly market together through the tool. It makes it really seamless and easy. And what we try to do is set up, probably start small with a say with pre-sales pipeline.
Yeah.
Opportunities. Let's show, over 60 days, some real proof to value. Then as they see value, as they get visibility to pipeline and deal flow, then we can add additional capabilities. Maybe they start with one to 5 partners, and then they add additional partners.
That just sounds phenomenal.
Yeah,
knowing, the challenges that I faced for many years.
Yeah.
So as a domain expert around partnerships, what would be an optimal best practice way of approaching partners? How would you engage? Walk us through what that kind of perfect scenario would look like.
Well, there's some really good best practices around alliance management.
Yeah.
Right? A successful alliance engagement starts with, you got to have a shared value proposition.
Yeah.
With a partner, right? Or do you have a business plan that talks about metrics and what you want to accomplish together? Is it a differentiated value proposition that you have? And then are you aware of the business needs that customers might have? And then you need to say, okay, what is the governance model by how we interact and engage with one another? What is is there executive peers? Is there executive sponsorship for the relationship? And so those kinds of things are critical. And then as you start to kind of ideate and build solutions, as you take them to market, as getting an early customer win is critical, right? That lighthouse account saying, this we've proven value, that customers want this, that they care about it. And this means that, more customers will likely do it. So then you develop repeatable, replicable, business process of how you do that. One important factor as well, which Workspan really enables, is getting alignment of the sales team and the compensation models, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Accenture may go to market one way, Cisco may go to market another way, SAP may go to market a different way. But if you can align the sales incentives, the right sales models to do that, so you have traction and accountability, but also the ability to team as the different sales forces together, then you have a great likelihood of success. And then you've got to do continual reviews, kind of what's working, what's not working. How do I need to tweak this relationship and adjust the process moving forward? And then you repeat it, So it's kind of a continual cycle across the alliance lifecycle phase. But those are some of the key steps to success that enable, alliance partners to more seamlessly work together.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that, Greg.
Yes.
Now, depending on the knowledge and education level of your marketplace,
yes,
I would imagine that you're talking to some organizations where the CIO has a chart and here's all my big systems, my core systems and the things that it takes to run the organization. And there's often a blank. They don't even know they need Workspan.
Yes.
So how do you approach it? Are you spending most of your time educating the market right now?
Yeah, it's interesting because what we try to do is we look at what we call the influence stack. We're kind of focused on the high-tech sector where companies are trying to manage complex relationships and partnering relationships in terms of how they go to market. Because most companies leverage partners to serve customer needs, right? So what we're trying to do is we kind of, through relationships, through existing known problems and challenges that a lot of companies have, we do a lot of outreach to those companies. So what we try to do is set up a discovery call initially and understand, say your NTT Data or SAP or Cisco or F5 Networks. Do a discovery call with key alliance professionals, understand what their needs are, what their care-abouts are, how are they handling complex partnering today. And we see the same issues, like I said, siloed processes, using spreadsheets, emails, other ways and mechanisms to communicate and collaborate. And then we say, there's a better way to do this. Just like, in the finance world where you have Oracle and Sage, in sales, you've got Salesforce, that an ecosystem to enable sales. Just like in marketing, you've got Marketo and Eloqua, and for
Absolutely.
a marketing ecosystem. We then position Workspan saying, we are enabling, ecosystems to take hold and to operationalize and to work, just like in finance, sales, and marketing, the way they do that. And then that's how we introduce Workspan. We also do a lot of promotions. We're there in big trade shows with customers of like Microsoft Inspire or Cisco Live, or LiveWorks with PTC. Different.
That's fascinating. So tell me, Greg, if we come back together in 5 years and we say, what's changed over the last 5 years? What do you expect?
It's interesting.
You'd be saying in 5 years. How do you think it's going to change?
A lot of companies are, Gartner, IDC, are talking a lot about ecosystems and the evolution of ecosystems. What I see happening is that, and I said the C-suite is becoming more and more, have higher expectations that ecosystems will contribute to revenue and business impact.
Yeah.
I think in the future, and we talked a lot about this with IDC at the most recent Strategic Alliance Leadership Council that we sit on. I think that, for one, ecosystem value becomes a KPI for the company.
Yeah.
Companies will start to measure the ecosystem impact, to the top line. Is it really growing revenue? I think there will be things like, partners will focus on use cases. How is partnering made evident in key verticals, whether it's in, key industries, manufacturing, in IoT, in 5G networks, et cetera. There'll be developer-focused networks, ecosystems. Developers will play a key role in terms of how ecosystems get shaped and how they are sort of adopted and executed in the future. Skills gaps, I think, are a big focus. I think a lot of companies now are facing skill gaps in alliances and ecosystems. So skill gap investment will start to take hold. And then you're seeing channel partners, like Tech Data and Ingram Micro, not just become like fulfillment arms for their VARs and resellers, but they are becoming solution aggregators.
Interesting.
So they're assembling kind of holistic solutions all the way from start to finish to enable their, VARs and resellers to be able to deliver more, high value to the customers that they serve.
Oh,
orchestrate those ecosystems in a meaningful
Yeah,
way.
that's very necessary. I saw this because I was doing a lot of work in enterprise mobility early on.
Yep.
And all the big mobile network operators, the T-Mobile, Sprint, AT&T, Verizon, all those guys, they all were trying to sell enterprise solutions, but it all had to be through partners.
Absolutely.
And they never got it right.
Absolutely.
They just never, because it was one guy would understand it, but they couldn't actually productize it and socialize it across the whole company. So it was just, it never worked.
Absolutely.
So they needed Workspan. They needed the good ideas that Workspan is coming up with. Absolutely.
Yeah. And companies are really starting to realize now the value of Workspan. They adopt it, they work with a few partners, then they're expanding that usage across their whole partner portfolios.
Wow. That's fascinating. And Greg, I want to just thank you so much for giving us the good ideas and coming up with the good ideas and the innovations and recognizing that there are solutions to some of the biggest challenges out there. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Kevin, it was a great pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity, and look forward to talking with you in the future.
Absolutely. And I want to thank all of you out there for tuning in.